The RV market apocalypse is here, and $747 billion in unsold rigs are the proof. Lots packed to the fence, dealers desperate, and factories pretending nothing's wrong. What started as a boom has turned into a financial sinkhole, swallowing the entire industry. Dealers can't pay their loans, lenders are pulling credit, and used prices are falling fast. And before it's over, thousands of rigs and jobs will vanish. Here's when the real collapse hits, and how to spot the deals, avoid the traps, and come out ahead while everyone else panics. The $747 billion shock. Dealers across America are staring at lots so full they could pass for storage yards, and the number tied up in those idle rigs is almost unthinkable: $747 billion. That figure isn't rumor, it's the combined value of unsold stock sitting on dealer floors, manufacturer backlogs, and financed units gathering dust across the country. For decades, the recreational vehicle market thrived on predictable seasonal demand. Then the pandemic boom hit, production tripled, and banks lined up to finance anything with wheels. But by late 2024, demand fell off a cliff while the production lines kept roaring. What that means for you is simple math. When too many rigs chase too few buyers, the market bleeds. Dealers now discount tens of thousands per unit just to move metal, and every markdown pushes resale values lower for existing owners. A model you paid $120,000 for last summer might now list for $95,000 if anyone's buying at all. The dream of holding value is gone. The bubble that promised freedom has become a financial anchor. You probably sensed it before the headlines did. Empty showrooms one season, overstuffed the next. The number confirms your gut. This is the largest unsold inventory event in RV history, and what's coming next isn't theory, it's liquidation. The question is, where are all those rigs sitting, and who's footing the bill while they gather dust? Receipts on the ground. Take a drive past the outer edge of any Midwestern town, and you'll spot the proof. Acres of brand new RVs lined up under the sun, some wrapped in plastic, others covered in dust. Drone images from storage fields near Elkhart, Indiana and Dallas, Texas show thousands of units parked end to end, waiting for buyers who never arrived. Dealers call it a backlog. Finance managers call it a liability. Each rig carries debt, insurance, and upkeep that doesn't pause just because the key hasn't turned. Satellite comparisons between 2022 and 2025 reveal a doubling of stored inventory footprint. What used to be dealer overflow lots are now rented farmland converted into makeshift storage. And behind every parked rig is a financial tether, usually a short-term banknote that charges interest whether the RV sells or not. For the dealers, it's a slow bleed. For the manufacturers, it's a delayed reckoning. For buyers like you, it's the sign that bigger discounts are coming, but also that dealers are desperate enough to play hardball. The unseen cost is staggering. Dealers pay daily carrying interest, utilities, and staff while their showrooms turn into parking lots. Many small operations have already defaulted or quietly sold out to larger chains just to stay afloat. The oversupply you see is not just bad luck. It's evidence of an industry that lost track of balance sheets and bet on endless growth. So why can't those same dealers simply mark down prices, move the units, and start over? The answer lies in the quiet financial trap known as the floor plan. If this collapse already feels real where you live, hit the like button and drop a comment below. Tell me how your local dealers or prices have changed. Real stories matter here. The floor plan squeeze. Every rig sitting on a dealer's lot is financed through something called floor plan lending, a short-term credit line used to stock inventory. The concept works when sales are steady. Dealers borrow, sell fast, repay, and borrow again. But when sales stall, the debt meter keeps running. Each unsold unit becomes a small loan accruing daily interest, and the totals stack quickly. On a $100,000 fifth wheel, the dealer might pay $20 to $30 in interest every day it sits unsold. Multiply that across hundreds of units, and you're staring at thousands per week just in holding costs. As the backlog stretches past 6 months, many dealers are watching profits evaporate before the first sale of spring. Some have begun trimming staff, delaying advertising and quietly begging lenders for extensions. Others are quietly sending inventory to wholesale auctions, accepting brutal losses simply to clear debt. The longer rigs sit, the deeper the red ink runs, and the less room they have to negotiate with buyers like you. That financial pressure explains the sudden wave of flash sales and limited-time markdowns that never seem to end. Those aren't promotions, they're lifelines. The system built to fund growth has turned into a vice, squeezing every dealer caught in its grip. Yet, while local lots struggle under crushing debt, manufacturers keep reporting record quarters. How can profits rise when sales collapse? The paper profit illusion. On Wall Street, everything looks fine. The major RV manufacturers still file glowing quarterly reports, and executives celebrate strong shipment performance. But look closer. Those shipments are counted as sales the moment a dealer accepts delivery, not when a customer signs a contract. The moment the trailer rolls off the factory line and onto a carrier truck, it's booked as revenue, even if it ends up parked for a year. That accounting, sleight of hand, creates paper profits that vanish the moment demand cools. It's the same story told before every crash. Executives cash bonuses based on volume, not sell-through. Investors see rising revenue and assume the market's healthy, unaware that inventory hasn't moved. By the time dealers choke on unsold stock, the quarterly earnings have already been reported, and the executives have already been paid. It means sticker prices are anchored to fantasy numbers that have nothing to do with real value. You can already see the fallout in auction data. Models shipped in early 2024 are selling at 20 to 30% below invoice at wholesale. The illusion is cracking, and every false profit reported last quarter will translate into real losses this one. The industry can hide the books, but it can't hide the lots. The truth is parked in plain sight, but the factories didn't stop. They doubled down and flooded the pipeline even more. The factory fire hose. If you want to understand how $747 billion in unsold RVs piled up, you have to start at the factory gates. In early 2023, manufacturers saw orders begin to slow. Dealers warned that rising interest rates were killing demand, but production never stopped. It actually accelerated. Why? Because factory bonuses and investor confidence were tied to shipment volume, not real sales. Every unit built looked like a win on paper, even if it went straight into storage. For decades, the RV industry followed a rhythm: build in spring, sell in summer, clear by fall. But the post-pandemic surge shattered it. Factories in Indiana, Ohio, and Texas kept running triple shifts even as loans collapsed, chasing Wall Street's illusion of strength. The flood of supply crushed resale values. Rigs once worth 70% now fetch half. Short-term optics triumphed, but long-term trust and market stability were destroyed. And when the factories filled every yard and still refused to slow down, they started hiding the excess, out of sight and off the books, the warehouse wall. If you think the lots you can see look bad, imagine the ones you can't. Drive past the outskirts of towns in Indiana or Arizona, and you'll find endless fields of parked RVs, some wrapped in shipping plastic, others fading under tarps. These aren't customer orders. They're overflow storage sites quietly rented by manufacturers and finance firms. When dealers ran out of room and credit, the backlog had to go somewhere. The industry's solution was to scatter it across hidden storage yards, what insiders call shadow inventory. Satellite photos taken from 2022 through 2025 show these storage footprints more than doubling. Every one of those parked rigs represents a financial drain. Storage fees, insurance premiums, and maintenance costs that never stop ticking. Some of those units will reach showrooms months or even a full year later, already depreciated before their first tank of fuel. A liquidation wave is coming. When those storage leases expire, manufacturers will dump units at wholesale auctions to claw back cash. That's when the biggest discounts hit. But it also means owners of existing rigs see their equity vanish overnight. The very oversupply that could save you thousands on a new purchase will cost someone else everything they had in resale value. Which brings us to the real question. How much of that $747 billion is actual loss, and how much is just bad accounting waiting to implode? The $747 billion breakdown. Let's decode the number that shook the industry. The $747 billion isn't a single pile of unsold RVs. It's a web of exposure spread across 4 main categories. First, roughly $300 billion sites in dealer floor plan inventory, the units financed and waiting on retail lots. Second, about $200 billion sits in manufacturer-owned stock, clogging those hidden yards. Third, there's $120 billion in consumer loans attached to rigs that are now worth far less than the debt owed on them. Finally, another $127 billion represents unfinished production, parts contracts, and unsold chassis sitting idle. Add the numbers together, and the total reaches $747 billion, though only $150 to $200 billion will truly vanish through auctions, repossessions, or write-offs in the next year. Used values are projected to fall another 15 to 20% by mid-2026. The real bottom appears when lenders panic, not when sales begin. Timing that moment will decide who loses or preserves wealth. So with all that proof on the table, it's time to face the question everyone watching has asked themselves. Is this collapse permanent, or does it open a rare window for smart buyers? The market crossroads. You've seen the evidence. Overflow lots, warehouses packed with dust-covered rigs, factories still running while showrooms stay empty. The question now is what it all means for you. Some people look at this mess and see the end of the industry. Others see the first true buyer's market in over a decade. Both might be right, depending on how they play it. Warning signs fill the landscape: tight credit, rising repossessions, and small dealers collapsing under debt. This path leads to consolidation and a painful reset. Yet history shows recovery follows contraction, with lighter rigs and smarter financing emerging from every fall. The market is shifting from hype to realism. Patience wins here. Watch auction trends, spot quiet discounts, and act when wholesale meets retail. That's when true value finally returns, because behind every parked RV is a paycheck, a family, and a factory light that just went dark. The town's built on RVs. Drive through northern Indiana or parts of Ohio, and you'll feel the silence. These are towns that once lived and breathed RV production. Every diner, parts supplier, and gas station tied to the factory whistle. When the orders dried up, the silence hit first. In places like Elkhart, employment dropped by nearly 30% within months. The line workers who once earned steady overtime now sit at home, waiting for callbacks that never come. For every worker laid off, 3 more jobs feel the shockwave: the local repair shop, the diner that served their breakfast, the landlord who counted on rent. The collapse reaches far beyond factory gates. Retirees see property values fall, schools cut programs, and small businesses vanish as families leave. What once promised stability now breeds fragility. Paychecks that fueled local life now feed corporate ledgers, draining towns of hope. When an industry stops moving, everything slows: money, optimism, and faith in tomorrow, until politics arrives, full of promises that echo louder than the help that never comes. As the assembly lines go dark, the bright lights shift to Washington, where every promise sounds good, but few deliver anything real. Politics and promises. Once the layoffs made national news, politicians lined up to show sympathy. Senate hearings opened, state governors toured shuttered plants, and headlines promised rebuilding packages. But behind those press conferences were the same old deals. Lawmakers spoke about saving jobs, yet the biggest beneficiaries of emergency funding were the corporations that caused the oversupply in the first place. Data from campaign finance records show millions flowing from RV lobbyists into re-election accounts just as the bailouts were written. The relief bills promised to stabilize manufacturing and support small business recovery, but the fine print exposes the truth. Tax breaks and low-interest loans flow to major corporations, not struggling dealers or families buried in debt. Consumer protections stall quietly in committees. Those nearest the collapse receive the least aid, while executives behind the bubble walk away untouched, padded with subsidies, bonuses, and the same titles that fueled the crisis. Tired of waiting for politicians to act, the people who built the RV industry decided to take matters into their own hands. The line walkers. When the company wouldn't listen, the workers took to the streets. Outside several major plants in Indiana and Iowa, picket lines formed through the spring of 2025. The signs were simple: fair pay, stop the overbuild, keep the town alive. For many of these workers, it wasn't just about paychecks, it was about survival. They were fighting for the right to have a future in an industry they had helped create. Union halls buzz again as mechanics, painters, and welders gather after hours, comparing pay cuts and exposing hidden production games. Small dealers join forces, forming cooperative groups to counter factory manipulation. Protests stretch for weeks, forcing manufacturers to renegotiate and offer job guarantees. The cost is high, but silence has ended. Workers and customers now see the same truth. They've both been exploited by a system built on overproduction and denial. Yet even as workers fight for fairness, corporate offices continue reporting record profits. On paper, the math behind those earnings tells a very different story. Earnings without sales. If you only read the quarterly reports, you'd think the RV industry was thriving again. The big names are announcing strong earnings and operational resilience, but those numbers are built on accounting tricks, not real recovery. The secret is how they count shipments. Every time a manufacturer sends a unit to a dealer, whether it sells or not, it registers as revenue. In other words, they're selling inventory to themselves, then calling it success. Stock prices rise, while dealers drown in unsold rigs. Investors celebrate paper profits, and executives collect bonuses. The same units sit untouched, quietly depreciating as warranty claims surge and lenders retreat. It's a shell game built on timing and denial. When companies boast about inventory management or streamlined distribution, it's financial triage. Behind glossy earnings lies an industry running on borrowed time, one downturn away from exposing its fragile truth. But out of this wreckage, a different kind of RV market is starting to form. Leaner, smarter, and more honest. If you want to stay ahead of what's coming next, hit subscribe right now. The next video breaks down when prices finally bottom out, and who still survives, and who sinks. Every collapse sorts the market into two groups: those who adapt and those who disappear. The RV industry is no different. The companies that survive this downturn are the ones already pivoting towards smaller, smarter builds. Instead of chasing luxury margins, manufacturers like Grand Design and Lance are cutting production runs and tightening quality control, while others like Thor and Forest River are still pushing oversized models that dealers can't move. The difference isn't just strategy, it's survival instinct. People are walking away from oversized Class A rigs and shifting to compact towables, lightweight fifth wheels, and modular campers that fit real budgets. Smaller rigs mean lower insurance, reduced fuel use, and broader resale appeal. Lenders back those choices, while outdated models pile up for auction. This isn't an ending, it's a reset. Like the housing crash of 2008, only the adaptable survive, while excess fades fast. And while manufacturers are learning that lesson the hard way, buyers are discovering a new truth of their own. Ownership isn't the only way to enjoy the road anymore. The new way to roll. The traditional ownership model, the 30-year loan, the endless maintenance bills, the insurance, and the storage, has finally hit its breaking point. But the desire to travel hasn't disappeared. It's just finding smarter paths. A new ecosystem of RV rentals, peer-to-peer sharing, and subscription programs is rising from the ashes of the collapse. Families who can't justify a full purchase can now rent rigs for a week or two, avoiding depreciation entirely. Companies modeled after Airbnb connect private owners with travelers, turning idle RVs into income. Subscription programs offer rotating access for a flat fee. Flexibility without ownership. Younger travelers gain freedom without debt, while older owners earn steady cash flow. The market is modernizing by recycling rigs instead of overbuilding. This shift, born from collapse, delivers sustainability through economics. Less debt, more choice, and a lifestyle that finally matches financial reality. And as this shift in mindset spreads, the dealers themselves are transforming from sales centers into something entirely different. Service hubs for the new era of mobility, the dealer of tomorrow. The days of sprawling lots filled with hundreds of rigs baking in the sun are coming to an end. The dealer of tomorrow looks more like a boutique than a parking field. Smaller showrooms with order-to-build systems are replacing old inventory-heavy models. Instead of guessing what customers want, dealers are turning to digital kiosks and interactive catalogs. You walk in, choose your layout, and the rig gets built to order. No more floor plan debt, no more massive storage fees, and no more fake, limited-time sales. This new system cuts costs at every step, letting dealers offer honest pricing and focus on service instead of desperation. Maintenance, warranties, and rentals become steady revenue, rebuilding the trust the industry lost. Transparency turns buyers into partners, not targets. It's a leaner, smarter model rewarding efficiency over illusion. Dealers who adapt will survive the next 5 years. Those clinging to bloated lots and inflated stickers will vanish. But even with better dealers, smarter production, and flexible ownership, there's still one factor that decides everything: the monthly payment that defines whether the dream lives or dies, the only number that matters. In the end, every promise, every innovation, every discount comes down to one number: the monthly payment. If it fits, the dream survives. If it doesn't, the market collapses again. Right now, 3 forces determine that number: interest rates, insurance premiums, and depreciation speed. When rates rise, even modest rigs become unreachable. When depreciation accelerates, lenders back away. The sweet spot only appears when inventory pressure forces prices down at the same time banks ease lending. That is the window to watch. Dealer financing data points to the second quarter of 2026 as the reset window. By then, repossessed units will flood lots, storage leases will expire, and lenders eager to move idle capital will ease credit. That's when quiet markdowns appear before official sales. Patience pays off, because beyond brand and hype, only one number matters: the monthly payment. When that finally aligns with reality, the road truly opens again. Don't wait for the headlines to tell you it's over. Stay ahead of the collapse, the recovery, and everything in between. If you want real numbers, not dealer spin, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay one move ahead, because the next chapter in this story is already being written, and you'll want to see it first.